Hi, I'm Phil, and welcome to Actuality of Being. I sincerely appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. Future videos will be more impromptu and energetic, but with this first video, I wanted to communicate the foundation of where I'm coming from. So for a lot of this, I will be reading from these notes. Though I do have a couple of visual aids, I feel the information and content of this first video and communicating it as clearly and accurately as I can is far more important than the style of delivery. Usually, I'm engaged with someone privately in a one-on-one online awakening conversation rather than a camera, and I'll be sharing some of those live recordings as videos here soon, but there won't be much to see here today. This is really about the information and the message. So take a few deep breaths and relax. And if you like, just sit back, close your eyes and listen, and try to let some of what I'm about to say sink in and see if it resonates with you. I only intend to be myself in this video and all future videos. And if there's one message, one single point that you derive from anything that I'm about to share, I hope it is the encouragement to do the same, to just be you as you are, however you are, whoever you are. Before I share what I desire to share, I also want to mention, as far as I'm concerned, we are all parallel. So please do not take the things I'm about to say as any implication that I'm better or higher conscious or more enlightened than you or anyone else, nor that you will be from anything that you receive from me. In my estimate, we are all equally in this together, and we can certainly cherish and celebrate our uniquenesses and differences and discover our true nature of being, which is exactly the same. So a revelation occurred in me a few years ago, and I've been inspired ever since to share what was revealed. To put it as simply as possible, I've been shown, so to speak, what I am, what we are, what the whole of reality is, and how it is actual that you create your own reality. The weirdly amazing thing is that you actually already know this, but forgot. Hopefully that will resonate and make much sense by the end of this video. Though some of what I want to share here might initially seem very radical, I hope to explain it as simply as possible, and I hope you enjoy it and find it as amazing and inspiring as I have, or at the very least, interesting and worthy of your consideration and contemplation. Given the nature of the things I'm about to share, please keep in mind that at the same time, I am a rather normal middle-aged husband, dad, business owner living in the Midwest who simply discovered who he really is and that he really likes sharing. I think you also have something within you, in your life, that you are inspired to share as well, and that you can probably relate to where I'm coming from. A little bit about me and where I am coming from. About 25 years ago, I suffered from pretty severe anxiety and depression. I tried therapists and medications, and while these worked for many people, they didn't help me much, and even caused some side effects that made it worse. For whatever reason, I tried meditation, and it worked. In a nutshell, after a few months of daily meditation, the mind calmed and quieted, and I felt amazing. I made some changes with my diet and fitness and how I thought and focused, and I never experienced anxiety or depression again. In addition to the ongoings of my family, hobbies, work, and friends, what I'd experienced kind of launched a 25-year investigation, or what I have now come to recognize as seeking, into why I felt that way, why certain things didn't work for me, and why meditation works so profoundly well. I continued meditating every morning for 25 years and contemplated a lot of things. I experienced a series of insights and epiphanies that led to what I can only really call seeings of infinity, which is not at all like what I'd call regular vision or regular thoughts. It's an experience which cannot be described with words other than to say it is more real than real, which in all honesty isn't saying much. In these seeings, I saw how reality is created from nothing or nothingness to what we're experiencing right now. I saw what I really am and what birth, death, and life really are and really are not, and how all of this is what the now or this is. What I was shown was so radical, inspiring, and life-changing that I created actualityofbeing.com a few years ago and have been doing awakening sessions with individuals interested in awakening and enlightenment or the truth or the true nature ever since. That the entirety of reality is an unthinkable divine perfection and makes absolute perfect sense in and of itself, and that I've been able to share this with so many people has been a great blessing and joy in my life. And I would like to say thank you to anyone listening who I've spoken with in these sessions. I've learned so much and will forever sincerely be grateful for our time together. So I want to share what I was shown, and it's hard to express. The weirdest aspect, perhaps, is how perfectly normal the things I'm about to share seem now. As you'll see, it's a considerable shift in experience of life and reality, and it's honestly hard to see things as I once did. So bear with me if I gloss over anything, and if you're interested or have any questions, feel free to add them in the comments section, and I'll either answer there or make another video to answer any deeper questions. And thank you in advance. So how is it that you create your own reality? How is this possible? What I want to share, what I was shown, so to speak, is literally what reality is. Reality is as it appears, but isn't at all what we commonly think it is. Reality does not consist of physical separate objects as I'd previously assumed. Simply put, reality is an infinite being, infinite consciousness, which is formless, perfect, unconditional love. Which I would also say, in terms of words that point, is synonymous with peace, source, awareness, infinity, eternal being, absolute light, formlessness, and no thing or nothing or nothingness. But most relevant is that this infinite being is me and is you, and is all things, and is literally all that is. That, of course, likely sounds ridiculous and or impossible, but what I found is that this infinite being, which is me and is you, forgets its own infinitude precisely because it appears as reality. So again, how is it that you create your own reality? How is this possible? As formless, perfect, eternal, infinite being, there is no second thing. There is not infinite being and this other stuff. There's no hardware store to go to get material to build creation or experience. For infinite being to experience, infinite being appears as the very experience. For there to be experience, there must be somewhere the experience transpires, and some way of experiencing this place, this somewhere, this experience. Having only its infinite formless self, infinite being, which is whole and is one, and is conscious and aware, vibrates of its perfect absolute light and unconditional self, and appears to itself, as itself, by itself, for itself, as two. Two perfect spheres. The infinite one appears as two perfect spheres by essentially mixing two vibrational swirls of itself together, which are very similar to what we think of as black holes. To create two spheres made only of the absolute light and unconditional love that infinite being is. I want to point out that how is a question that arises in hindsight, which is not applicable to what is infinite and one. How implies causation, or something being done which leads to a result or outcome, or a seeing that you did this. This is not the same as seeing how you did this, but this is the best description I can offer. One sphere is of the universe, or more notably and much more relevantly, the world or earth. And one sphere is a lens, which could be referred to as the lens of the finite mind or minds, by which infinite being can experience the world that it is being. As the spheres are literally made of infinity or infinite being, there are no actual separations, and there are no restrictions or limitations as to any number of worlds or finite minds which can appear within the spheres. In appearing as these spheres, infinite being experiences as itself, as it is still itself, exactly as you are you right now. But by being the spheres, infinite being forgets that it is infinite. It essentially veils itself by being experience or creation. I use these glass spheres in my online sessions, and they have proven to be a helpful visual aid. If you could first imagine that the empty space of this room is formless, infinite being, or consciousness, without any form, without any limit, which can appear as anything, and which then appears as the two spheres. An easy way to think about the sphere of the world is to picture a snow globe that has a little village in it and snow that you shake up and then watch the snow fall. Just a sphere of light and love with the universe in it. Teeming with life, beautiful, mesmerizing really, yet somewhat uneventful from the outside. This, by the way, is the actuality of what birth and death are, and why you have no actual direct experience of being born or of death. Who you really are, infinite being, doesn't actually die and is never actually born. These are beliefs, and they transpire in here, which is an appearance. There is literally no such thing as birth or death. There is the appearance of the spheres, as you, infinite being. Birth and deaths are beliefs which we innocently create from forgetting who we really are. If you can picture, inside here is exactly here, and after a lifetime, outside here looks like this. There is also no such thing per se as reincarnation. There is essentially just inside and outside. No one we lose is ever actually lost. This place is your creation. It seems like you are the person, but you are being this universe. This is all the movie, the experience, or creation, and the reality of the appearance, the movie, is the infinite screen of consciousness, this formless infinite being, which is who, or rather what, you actually are. As amazing as this is, wouldn't it be neat if you could experience this world from the inside? And so infinite being appears as a way to experience this world from the inside by appearing as a second sphere, which I'm calling the lens, or the lens of the finite mind. This finite lens is like a magnifying glass. Just like a magnifying glass makes things seem magnified when you look through it, though things aren't really magnified, the finite lens makes things initially seem finite, as in separate. Though really, there is no such thing as finite at all, truly. Just as there is no such thing as separation, there is no such thing as finite. It only appears that way through the finite lens. As it seems you are inside of a world, you thus forget your own infinitude. Through this finite lens, infinite intelligence experiences itself as one finite thought at a time. As love appears as the spheres, this appearance is, in a sense, love appearing as infinite mind or infinite imagination. Through the lens, infinite imagination appears to itself as one finite image at a time. As infinite being is infinite potential or infinite potentiality, through the lens, it appears to itself as finite concepts and ideas. As infinite being appears as the spheres and thus forgets who it is, it believes itself to be a person by believing the appearing finite thoughts and ideas about itself. These ideas and beliefs about itself can never really be accurate because all knowledge is of the movie in the sphere or of the world. These thoughts and beliefs, these conditions about who we are, feel a little off to the very unconditional love which is appearing as the spheres, and therefore the very ideas and beliefs about itself. This is what is referred to as conditioning, or that we create beliefs and ideas about who we are because we innocently forgot who we really are. When we inspect and let go of these ideas and beliefs, we realize who, or rather what, we really are. The spheres and us and all that is creation can also be thought of as holon, which is Holon if you want to Google it. Holon is a word for that which is simultaneously the whole and a part or parts. This is how it is. You can be the world and lens and experience as if you were a person in the world through the lens. An example of a holon would be that of seeds and trees. Trees come from seeds and seeds come from trees. There is no actual beginning and there is no actual end. In truth, there is not even the causation of the tree growing from the seeds and shedding seeds. There is the thought that there are separate things, but the actuality is that there is an appearance of infinite being which is whole and has no separate parts. This sphere, with all the bubbles in it, which obstruct the clarity, represents the conditioning. That is, the ideas and beliefs, the identity that we unknowingly create and believe ourselves to be. Without these beliefs and ideas, without this conditioning, there is an ease and effortless and a by design sense in regard to what apparently thought is for. Without this conditioning, these beliefs and ideas of identity, one lives without suffering, tension, or anxiety. This clarity, which this represents, is certainly not a problem or problematic. Thought is not a problem, nor is problematic. Thought is the appearance of clarity. Thought is for communicating, creating, and exercising preferences, which is quite literally how creation perpetuates itself. Human experience is the point of reality. That is to say, the common scientific thinking that reality or creation or experience started with a random Big Bang, and that humans are a random product of evolution is a bit off, and that it is precisely backwards. Notice this in your own direct experience. You never experienced a Big Bang, nor a history, nor even a past, let alone a birth. Being human, as in this lens or point of view, is central to creation, which is to say, you are not a thing in a universe. The universe is an appearance within you as infinite being, and the point of creation is not the universe, but your experience. Experience, creation, creating together is the whole point of reality. The universe appears to be expanding from any single point of view within it, because all points of view are simultaneously of the very same lens of the finite mind or body-mind lens. We are accustomed to experiencing one point of view, and it can be difficult to grasp that as infinite being you can experience an infinite number of points of view. That is why, in the most literal sense, some things cannot actually be explained other than to understand the nature of holon. For example, human reproduction, just like the Big Bang, can be described extensively, but not actually, only right up until the very point of creation. This is because the observer, or scientist if you will, is of the very same holon that all which is observed is. Short of recognizing the holon nature of infinite being, things like birth and death, cellular reproduction, and photosynthesis will always remain a mystery in terms of causality, because causality, as in cause and effect, is actually perception of an appearance. And thoughts added which seem to label the appearance and are helpful do not actually ever define the perception or experience. What is infinite can never truly be defined because it is appearing as the very definitions. In a way, religion, by and large, has missed the truth by believing there is a God which is separate of you, and science has missed the truth by believing what science is studying is separate of the scientist or person studying it. Clarity on this really just boils down to understanding our role in creation. This sheds a lot of light on all of the unanswerable questions and makes perfect sense of things like the observer problem, which is not a problem at all for one which doesn't believe they are separate, or the hard problem of science, which is how the quantum realm fits perfectly with the atomic realm, the answer which is us. Recognizing reality is an appearance of infinite being and that we are the creators and are not separate explains these and many more things, such as quantum entanglement and the uncertainty principle. Scientifically speaking, people are the white holes, the dreamers, the creators. Thoughts which are aligned with feeling, with source, which is love, create. Thoughts that are not aligned do not create. Thoughts which don't resonate, which you let go of, do technically go somewhere, and that is essentially what black holes are. We are quite literally in the mind of God. Experience is effortless in the sense reality is made of love, which is infinite intelligence. And sensation, or that there is feeling, is a real-time guidance system, guiding you via feeling at every moment in your entire life. This has really highlighted to me the importance of understanding how we create emotion. And if you are interested in reading more and understanding this, please take a minute to go to actualityofbeing.com and click on Tools. Emotion is literally unconditional love appearing as the spheres, or if you will, as creation. The experience of emotion is the unconditional love that infinite being is. Experiencing thoughts and the world it is being. Energy is actually unconditional love, which appears as the spheres. Thoughts and all change and all motion is an appearance. This energy, which is love, experiencing itself, appearing as motion, is what emotion is. When you believe thoughts about yourself, which are not true about the love you actually are, you feel the discord of this. Unfortunately, rather than recognizing this, we innocently, in our forgetting, in our veiling, in our conditioning, label this experience of discord with terms like negative emotions, fear, guilt, shame, powerlessness, or unworthiness, etc., without understanding why it feels so off, without understanding who or what we really are, and by not recognizing, not knowing, and therefore not abiding by the feeling guidance of sensation within every one of us. The sphere of the world and the sphere of the lens are not separate from each other, and are not separate from infinite being, which is appearing as the spheres. In terms of relationships and relating with each other and the ongoings of our lives, we each experience vibrational, emotional resonance with and as infinite being in regard to each subject or category and each relationship in our lives. When we have an emotional vibration pertaining to a certain subject, like school, work, financial matters, independence, relationships, etc., and we are experiencing communication with someone else, we feel our own alignment or discord between our thoughts and our infinite true nature as unconditional love. Like a tuning fork and a guitar string, what is in one of us emotionally resonates when the same vibration is present in another one of us. In not understanding this, we all too often blame each other for how we feel. In not understanding experience and who we really are, this carries on exponentially, leading to a false sense of protecting a separate self, which is really just believing thoughts and misunderstanding experience and who we are. This has led to an absorbent amount of blaming and defending, arguing and fighting to the degree of weapons and bombs. We could all be creating together. And we really actually are, either way. But it is obvious there is only one earth, and that we are essentially sharing this sphere of the world. Though it is not as obvious, each of us are that which is being it. When we do these things, it feels intrinsically terrible to any and all of us. We have seen plenty of what doesn't work. When we judge, label, and ostracize each other, instead of accepting, unconditionally loving, helping, and supporting each other, we feel the discord with our being, with reality, and we create more conditions, more laws and more conditioning that literally you are born into again and again and again. Only everyone awakening to the truth of themselves, to the true nature, will do. Nothing short of love will do. This again highlights the importance of understanding emotion and the guidance of feeling, which I've come to think of as sensational guidance. To highlight an example, what we call fear, unworthiness, guilt, shame, or powerlessness is really only the experience of thought about one's self, which is not true, and thus does not resonate with the truth, the love each of us are. A simple example of emotional understanding and expression is shifting from the inward orientation of these thoughts about oneself, which do not resonate with anyone, to the outward orientation of energy, or simply the expression of jealousy. This might sound odd or counterintuitive, but expressing is releasing and relieving. Expressing what other people have, experience, and are creating that you want and desire releases the emotional condition from shifting from thoughts about yourself that do not feel good to you to thoughts about pursuing and creating what you desire to create and experience. From what I've seen from my enlightening conversations and awakening sessions, which at this point are in the thousands, from misinterpretations, misunderstandings, and misidentifications and emotional suppression comes the result of anger, hate, rage, depression, and even psychosis. From what I make of it, this single understanding of emotion as creation and as experience stands to significantly reduce suffering and crime rates dramatically and improve the quality of life for all of us. Again, please consider visiting actualityofbeing.com and clicking on tools to learn more about emotional understanding. So how does this sensational guidance, this guidance of feeling, work? How can I recognize it, understand it, and receive it? How can it help me and benefit me in my life? You are never without it. You are what it is. Sensational guidance is infinite intelligence. Formless, not finite, it is felt or is feeling, which is a far higher order of intelligence than apparent finite thoughts. In short, you are this truth. So any thought which doesn't feel good to you simply is not true about you. If we allow it to be that simple, it is that simple. It is literally effortless and couldn't be more simple. What complicates this, of course, is the conditioning, the beliefs and ideas of who we are as individuals, which are really individuations. Conditioning isn't exactly what I previously thought it was. Conditioning isn't per se of the past, but is the perpetuating of the idea of a past, only and ever now. One is misidentifying or not, only now. Though it has measurable depth, this is essentially what enlightenment or awakening is. One is either focusing on or believing these thoughts and beliefs about who one is right now, which is to say, holding conditions right now, or one is not holding these conditions right now. The true nature of infinite being is love and happiness. And as such, enlightenment is the right nowness of experiencing your creation as your true self. As the love and happiness that you are, without the veil of conditions upon your own true nature of happiness and unconditional love, which is to simply say being conditional or holding conditions, rather than simply being yourself, being the love and happiness that you are, regardless of apparent pasts, ideas of the future, or conditions and circumstances. We experience our own emotional vibration when we interact with others too. When unconditional love holds conditions about itself, it experiences what could be referred to as conditional love. Just as infinite being itself, having forgotten itself, assumes awareness or consciousness is the product of a person or body mind. Infinite being, which is unconditional love, mistakenly assumes love to be a product of relationships, things, or experiences. There is much love and great joy experienced in relationships, and this does not take away from that at all in my experience. But the difference I aim to communicate is that unconditional love and absolute light is much more than just a product of relationships or experiences. It's the very fabric of reality, and it is actually you, which forgot who you really are. You are, however, never not you. That is, you are never without the unconditional love you actually are, which again is pointed to with the words sensational guidance. There is no right and wrong. There is literally only the goodness that you are. Right and wrong, just like problems and solutions, are apparent thoughts. The only problem is holding on to the condition, the thought, that there is a problem. The very same unconditional love, which is infinite intelligence, which appears as the thought or perspective problem, can and does also appear as the answer. All that is required is the letting go of the thought, the perspective or mindset of problem. Reality is an apparent continuum and indeed does carry on either way. The suffering of believing something is wrong with you or that there is a problem with you can be readily resolved by letting the thought go. and listening to your sensational guidance and understanding the emotions you are creating and experiencing. Expression is always the key, as suffering is the result of suppression, whether you express to someone else or out loud by yourself or through a medium such as writing, painting, singing, or anything else which is expressive. This releases suppressed emotion and clears the mind. When the body releases emotional suppression, the mind clears and the body-mind is filled with the true nature. Taking time, ideally every morning, to allow the thought activity of the mind to settle and quiet allows good feeling thoughts, insights, and ideas and inspirations to arise, and is basically what the practice of meditation is. Please take a minute to visit actualityofbeing.com and have a look at the meditations page. There's a list of carefully thought out meditations designed and intended to release, understand, and help you return to your true nature. In this sense, meditation, which means the middle way, becomes recognized as a word for you simply being you. To help with emotional understanding and the recognition of your true nature, from the sessions that I've done, I came up with a helpful explanation, which I call the arc and the loop. Simply put, because we forget we are the love, the happiness that is, we believe love and happiness is coming from other people or objects or substances or experiences. This is to arc. To mistakenly project the source of feeling of love and happiness onto something else, as if feeling were ever actually coming from anywhere other than yourself. When this arcing occurs, the discord with the true nature, the love that you truly are, is felt. This can create much suffering and much seeking for true relief, satisfaction, fulfillment, and happiness, which can only be found within yourself, because it's literally what you are. Because this arc is always felt as a bit off, one can realize this off feeling as the very sensational guidance and complete the loop by recognizing the source of feeling of love, of happiness, is always within you. Simply in hearing this, you will notice this more in your direct experience, and I hope it is helpful in realizing you are infinite, unconditional love, and that you are your own source of love and happiness. This tends to bring misunderstanding, misinterpretations, and misidentification up and out. And again, you can visit the meditations and tools at actualityofbeing.com, as this is very helpful and insightful in regard to the release of this conditioning. The reason it is so important to understand emotions and the sensational guidance of feeling is because emotion is literally you, love, appearing as this experience. Again, energy is really just a word, a label, for what is literally infinite consciousness or unconditional love. Emotion is energy, which in actuality is a label cast upon unconditional love, which is appearing to be in motion. Emotion. Most simply said, you feel because you are love, and you experience emotions because you are appearing as the universe or as experience. All motion, all change, all cause and effect is only apparent in our thoughts. it is very much like a screen appearing as a movie. The only reality of the appearing movie is the oneness of the screen, or infinite being, which is actually you. Which is why the term non-duality, or not two, is often used instead of oneness. Thoughts as labels are really afterthoughts, a story about what is. Absolute light appears as the spheres. This is what thought and perception actually is, an appearance of the absolute light that infinite being actually is. Reality feels real because it is unconditional love, and unconditional love is the only actual, as in eternal, true reality. Yet unconditional love is infinite being and is not per se a reality at all, but is appearing as the spheres, and thus is appearing as what is commonly called reality. Infinite being is absolute, so no words like real or unreal can ever actually describe that which is appearing as the very words. Through the lens of the finite mind, there appears finite thoughts. The nature of all thoughts is one appearing as two, or two-ness. Each one of us is the one, the eternal enlightened one, and literally creates meaning on the fly in the now. Meaning, like all knowledge, is apparent, or of the sphere of the world. Thoughts, like words, appear to have meaning only by implying what they are not. Up essentially means not down, and down essentially means not up. If you take away down, up has no meaning. If you take away up, down has no meaning. All thought is of the apparent nature of this two-ness, or of one appearing as two. In thought, which is an appearance, there seems to be bad and good, or good and evil, but the very thoughts themselves are literally made of the pure goodness that is unconditional love, or infinite being, or most simply, you. Thought seems to be thoughts, as in plural, but there is no direct experience of two thoughts at a time. There is only the illusion of choice, and as such, the illusion of free will. That is, that there are separate beings with separate wills making choices is a colossal misnomer. Though thought appears as two-ness, focus is not two. There is no direct experience, apparent or otherwise, of two focuses. It seems like there is the experience of choice or of free will only by not noticing one only experiences one thought at a time, and one focuses on it or one does not. This has really shown light on the importance of focus, as focus is the key, the magic of creating the life you actually want to create and experience. Focus is the natural result of clearing the body-mind of emotional discord suppressed. One either focuses on a one-at-a-time appearing thought, or one doesn't, and because reality is the appearance of unconditional love, it is pure goodness and is essentially made of yesness. That is to say, the reality you experience is unconditional. With your focus, you are the creator of conditions. Any time a thought doesn't feel good to you, that thought, which is focused upon, is in discord with the infinite love and truth that you truly are. When you let that thought go, which is to say, focus on something else which does feel good to you, you feel good. Good feeling and focus really is the key to creating the experience that you want. And becomes more and more obvious the more you consider this in your own direct experience. Simply put, it is not possible for you to experience that which you are not focused on. If you don't like what's on channel 2, you simply change the channel. Focus is really no different. Each one is the creator. We are the creators. We make changes to this place based on what we focus on. We have sensational guidance for this. This might sound obvious at first, and it is obvious. But what is not so obvious is that you are not a separate physical self in a separate physical reality. No one is. You are creating reality with your focus and preferences. We are creators. We are perfectly designed creators. Each one of us is quite literally the creator, and we are co-creating reality together as well. By well, I mean unconditional love, the well that is being, the being that is the source, the well of all that is. What any one of us changes in the sphere of the world affects us all. The spheres are interlinked in that they are infinite being. They are you. Space and time, or space-time, is an appearance within the spheres. There is no time or space outside of the spheres. Through the lens of the finite mind, eternity experiences time, and infinity experiences space. The recognition that the spheres, that is, the world and the lens, or finite minds, are not separate is key to understanding a great deal of what is commonly misunderstood in how we go about addressing issues like anxiety and depression. There will be much more to come on this, and you might have questions, but simply put, the state the world is in terms of well-being, the well which is being, and is literally love, is reflected in the new or newly created lenses or finite minds. In my opinion, it is most ideal for as many people as possible to wake up from the misunderstandings that are so rampant and common in the world today. For as many people as possible to awaken to the actuality of being, and that we are creating not only our own reality in the sense of our lives, but that we are creating reality together with the changes we make to the sphere of the world. And that what we focus on and how we choose to focus, and to what extent we abide in the sensational guidance of our infinite being, creates. Again, feeling really is the key. I know many people my age, and of all ages, were innocently, unknowingly taught to essentially ignore feeling, to suppress or suffer through, or toughen up, or bury it. That is not the way to go at all. This, from what I see, has resulted in mass judging and ostracizing of people, which behave in such a way because of the environment and conditioning that they are born into. And so we end up doing hurtful things only to be essentially shunned or put away out of the light of society. This, in my estimate, is making things much worse, not better, and seems to be reaching a sort of a critical mass. Perhaps the greatest paradox, which really, truly isn't a paradox at all, is how experience, that is, the world and lens, are made of only unconditional love. And yet at the same time, what the world is most in need of is unconditional love. So what does it mean to wake up? Essentially, putting how you feel first. Inspecting your assumptions by scrutinizing your own actual direct experience. An example of what you can inspect in regard to assumptions versus what you directly experience in regard to awakening is sleep. You directly experience falling asleep at night, and you directly experience waking up in the morning. You never directly experience sleep. Sleep is an assumption, a hindsight assumption. The only reason you believe you are a person who wakes up every morning is because you continue to assume that you slept, though you have no experience of it whatsoever. So this brings to mind the question of what it really means to wake up, to awaken, or enlighten. First, it's easier to say what it's not. It is not an attainment or achievement of any kind. It is not an acquisition of special powers. It is not a separate self with higher consciousness in comparison to others. Allow your own intuition and feeling, of which, by the way, you directly experience to be one, to be your guide in these matters, and it will lead you directly to awakening, to the realization of what you forgot, yet are never without, and to the realization of who you really are. Awakening is simply awakening to what is true and actual, and it is knowing the true nature, the infinite being, the love that you really are. Again, it is putting how you feel first, doing things that feel good to you, being willing to let thoughts which don't feel good to you go. Doing simple things like appreciating, listening to music, going for walks, singing, or whatever lifts your spirits and feels good. Ordinary things like being mindful to appreciate what and who you have, or just helping someone, or simply saying something nice to someone who could use your kindness. It is co-creating the life of your dreams with the source of all that is, as you more and more deeply realize there is no separation. When you put feeling first, you're putting what is actual first. When you then align thought to feeling, you no longer suppress feeling, and you readily let go of thoughts which do not feel good to you, simply because they don't feel good. Your life is then realized to be the very expression, the creation of unconditional love. There is truly no separation of any kind, anywhere whatsoever. The actuality of reality and experience is creator creating creation. When you put how you feel first, you find that the quality of thoughts changes exponentially, and there is a momentum to this. There isn't time per se. There is literally you connecting with who you really are in the now, in this experience, which is infinite being, as in one eternal moment. Or rather, the appearance of the spheres. In these sessions that I've done, I've seen how misinterpretations, misunderstandings, and misidentification can lead to confusion and experiences of stress, tension, anxiety, depression, and even solipsism, nihilism, depersonalization, and derealization disorders. The sessions have proven to be incredibly successful in clearing these misunderstandings and realizing our true nature, often simply by sitting quietly in the name of where two or more are gathered in my name, there I am. So I wanted to offer some specific things about this for anyone listening who might be experiencing this confusion and suffering. One of the most common challenges I've found seekers of truth to be struggling with is objective and subjective reality and perspectives and free will, and how this relates to who you really are and how you create your reality, and how you focus and create the life you desire to create, and why things are the way they are. Though much could be said about this, a simple explanation for you to contemplate has come from all of these sessions. Please do this exercise along with me. Simply do this. Now explain how you do that. You probably notice thoughts arising that while you can't readily explain how you do this, someone else can. Some doctor or neurologist or maybe a quantum physicist. Well, you would be wrong. No one can explain the simple act of wiggling your fingers, because it is literally pure magic, pure, spontaneous, infinite being. We only think we're separate. Like a fish doesn't notice water, we don't notice there is no actual separation in reality. It only seems that way when we mistake thoughts for perception. We are so good at creating and labeling experience that we neglect to empty our cup. Which is to say, cup is a thought. It's a label you learned for the sake of communication. This is not a cup. Cup is a thought. Again, a label you learned. If you twist your ankle, it's ideal to be able to go to the doctor and tell the doctor that your ankle is hurting. However, thoughts as labels are for communication, for experience, for creation. There is no actual direct experience of thinking perception. As awareness, you are directly aware of thought, perception, and sensation, or that there is feeling. Please take a minute with me now to notice there is sensation present in the bottoms of your feet. Notice this sensation is present in your legs, in your hips, in your chest and back, in your arms and shoulders, and in your neck and head. Really feel into that there is the presence of sensation. Notice in directly feeling, not in thinking. Notice sensation. This presence is not like perception per se. In perception, it is clear that the edge of my hand is right here. In sensation, in directly feeling sensation, notice this is not the case. Sensation is kind of fuzzy and sort of tingly. Notice sensation does not have edges. Notice sensation is formless and has no discernible beginning or ending. The experience of feeling, which is love, and thought, which is love appearing, is the experience of emotion. You are being and creating the emotions that you are experiencing. Notice you cannot think perception of seeing and hearing. You are directly aware of perception. Also notice you cannot perceive thought. You are directly aware of thought. To empty your cup is to let go of this matrix of the mind, this believing that you can think perception. The experience of perception is that of one whole. Thought only makes it seem like we are experiencing separate things. If and when we are believing our thoughts. I have found this to be incredibly clarifying and insightful in conjunction with listening to the guidance of feeling. Now notice that you cannot think yourself. For there to be experience, creation, unfolding, there is thought for preference. Notice you are directly aware of thought. Now try to think awareness. Notice your mind went blank. That is what is referred to as no mind. That is actually your default peace of mind, ever present, yet veiled by the believing or attachment to thoughts. How is this useful in creating your dream life? Consider a most simple example of someone looking in the mirror, experiencing a thought about not being skinny enough, or attractive enough, or tall enough, etc. The misinterpretation of feeling would be that the thoughts don't feel good because they're true. And so a story ensues about how you're working on accepting it. In truth, however, these thoughts don't feel good because you are not really the person you believe you are seeing in the mirror. This is believing your thoughts, which label what perception is, in essence, believing you can think yourself as awareness. You cannot. These kinds of thoughts feel off because they are off. That which is feeling is unconditional love. These kinds of thoughts don't feel good, simply yet profoundly, because they are conditions which simply are not true, which is why they don't feel aligned or resonate with you, the truth. The truth is you are divine perfection, exactly as you are, however you are, right now, without exception. By all means, make changes to your behaviors and actions in aligning with your sensational guidance. But do not mistake these thoughts, for who you actually are. Notice you can wiggle your fingers. You can look around and listen and walk anywhere without causation. It is simply happening. You're not giving orders like move the index finger 20 degrees to the left using 15 pounds of pressure, etc. Notice all experience of the body-mind is happening spontaneously. Notice the world, or the other than the body-mind, is not exactly the same. You can wiggle your fingers effortlessly, but though you are appearing as the sphere of the world, you can't, for example, wiggle trees without touching them. There is the apparent private experience of the body-mind. The privacy of thoughts, for example, is the experience of the sphere of the lens. This points to the intimate nature of the privacy of the body. The sphere of the world is experienced as an objective reality, even though you are what is appearing as it. Precisely so there can be, for you, experience. The world is not inert or dead matter. The world is infinite being. The world is as aliveness gets. The more you put feeling first, the more you discover the miracle of this truth. The more your experience of reality changes, and the most amazing and delightful synchronicities ensue. Do not underestimate aligning with well-being. Well-being is the literal flow or stream of love appearing as the spheres. This flow or stream is an upward momentum. When you are releasing conditioning and when you are consciously creating emotion or raising your vibration, it is by the literal flow of love that conditioning is released from the body-mind, and as such, the body-mind is filled with the true nature. This is love, this is happiness, this is clarity, this is focus. Because love is appearing as the spheres in an unending perfect flow, relaxation is toward being, as in source, as in the very source of well-being. This is why gravity remains a mystery or forever out of sight. Relax now into your being, into the love that you are, and feel the body-mind sink into the gravity, and feel the peace and comfort of your being. Inspect assumptions, understand emotions, release conditioning, and do this not only for your body-mind, but for your entire place and for all future reincarnations. Imagine, after this lifetime experience is through, that you are once again in this position, if you will, as infinite being. Imagine that in your limitless formlessness and in your infinite intelligence, that you can freely appear as any world you want to create by being it. And imagine that you do. And after imagining this perfect world and being born into it, you find yourself once again here, on the only world that is, on Earth. Create the life you want to live, and please keep the betterment and the beautification of this place in mind as you do. In spite of the many worlds theories, which confuse the infinite sphere of body minds with the sphere of the world, this is the only world we have, and it would be ideal to contribute to making it better and to making it last. If there is one thing this place could really use, it's simply more of a relaxed, loving you. I've come to think of self-realization and self-actualization as the meta-adventure, in the sense life is pretty full as it is, and the journey of a lifetime really is an adventure in and of itself. But the investigating and inspecting of the actuality of being, of reality, the discovering of who you really are, is the bigger picture and the most worthwhile endeavor, or the meta-adventure. In all my years of studying the religions and the sciences of the world, and of reading from the countless gifted authors who have been, one quote has always stuck out in my mind. Though I do not consider myself to be particularly religious or at all dogmatic, it seems to me that Jesus was arguably the most loving actuality of our true nature. And he had this to say about being, reality, thought attachment, complete transcendence of conditioning, awakening, and enlightenment. When you make the two one, and you make the inside like the outside, and the outside like the inside, and the above like the below, and when you make the male and the female one and the same, so that the male not be male nor female, and when you fashion eyes in the place of an eye, and a hand in the place of a hand, and a foot in the place of a foot, and a likeness in the place of a likeness, then you will enter the kingdom. By kingdom, he's talking about the kingdom of heaven. And I'm pretty sure he's talking about the love within you, and the love that you are, that is this place. He often spoke in parables, as he spoke from the true nature, completely realized, of the actuality of the spheres, which are holon, which are us in our lifetimes, and which are quite literally parables. I hope what has been shared here is helpful to you in finding and knowing this kingdom within and without. Again, if you have any comments or questions, please add them. And if you have any suggestions for future videos on things which I could bring more clarity to or elaborate on, I sure would appreciate any suggestions. If you are interested in private sessions via Skype or Zoom, please go to actualityofbeing.com and click on the Sessions tab. While you're there, if you're interested, you can add your email and sign up to be notified when the book that I've been working on for a few years is finished, which will be very soon. And please, if you like the content, don't forget to click like and subscribe. Thank you once again for watching. Now go do something that you enjoy, that feels good to you. Tell somebody you love them, and have as much fun as you can. While eternal, life is short.